Hey everybody, I'm Toby Otero. I was asked to do this video about directing for the Strauss Theater. And first question on the list was, what was my first directing gig? Well, actually, when I was younger, I directed some stuff for TV and also some video production projects. But my first theatrical directing gig was actually a show that I wrote called The Science of Murder. The late great Steve Munns was nice enough to give me the opportunity to direct a show that I wrote for Murder is Served, and it was The Science of Murder, and it was a blast. I was hooked from that moment on.
First show. It was in response to Chris Ringham's asking me to do children's theater in the 80s, 1984 to be exact. And it was called Clyde's Magnificent Journey, and then there was a section called Remembering the Unicorn. Clyde was a caterpillar going on his way to become a butterfly, and Remembering the Unicorn was acting exercises using Shel Silverstein poetry. These names: Chris Johnson, Don Bedell, Tanya Lead, Frank Jabingo, Allison Lofton, and then there was Magic Theater that followed soon after with Mickey Cannon and Vanessa Perkins Stewart.
The first show I directed at Strauss was actually not my first show to direct, but my first show at Strauss was back to the 80s. And what a delightful show it was. It was done in conjunction with our Strauss Youth Theater, and we performed on the main stage, and most of my cast were all youth. The three adults that were in Back to the 80s were Toby Otero, Wendy Wilson, and Matt Wilkins. But what a fun group we had to do Back to the 80s. It was my most fun, memorable part was having Bo Coleman, who was barely old enough to drive himself, physically drive a cranked-started VW convertible on stage for a big number, and it was just so much fun. I was scared to death the whole time because I was just scared the car was going to break the stage or something like that.
The very first show that I directed was for my senior year in my directing class. We each had to direct a one-act play for our final exam, and I chose a show called This Is a Play. And it's a lot of fun. It's about going behind the scenes of the theater life and getting kind of into the mental thought processes of each actor and kind of the mental anguish that they go through learning their lines and performing with the other actors in the show. And it was just really a lot of fun because you get to see that just that side of theater life. And I really enjoy those kind of shows. Other ones that are like that are Noises Off and The Play That Goes Wrong and shows like that. And so they're a lot of fun. And so that was the very first show that I ever directed. After that, I also did a lot of really big, large-scale productions for my church. But then in 2012, in November, John Baccarini was the general manager for the Strauss, and he knew that I had been working with Steve Munns and Murder is Served Dinner Theater for a while, and so he asked if I would be willing and interested to direct a dinner theater for the Strauss. The theater was wanting to get back into doing dinner theaters, and so he knew that I kind of had a little bit of a knowledge of how things ran with dinner theater, and so he asked if I would be willing to do that, and so I said, yeah, of course, I would love to. And so I picked a show called The Butler Did It, and it's a spoof on all of the different murder mystery novelists and the characters that they create. And so it brought a lot of things that I really enjoy, like murder mysteries and whodunits and spoofs, and just you've got all these great silly characters that are a lot of fun to try to recreate, that are based off of other fictional characters. So that was the first directing show that I did for the Strauss, and I've kind of tried to be involved as much as I can ever since then. I've really enjoyed it, and I always look forward to being a part of a new show and being a part of having a new cast to work with, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's how I got into directing, and the first couple of shows that I directed.